My fieldwork placement was at the Isabella County Restoration House.
The organization is a short-term shelter that provides a safe and warm place for the homeless families, teenagers, and adults in the fall and winter months. The social workers, interns, staff, and volunteers give access to any individual in the shelter that needs either a job, transportation, personal hygiene items, food, clothes, a place to sleep, and help with taxes, medical care, and a plan where they will go once the shelter closes. My responsibilities is I would come in at 4 p.m. to assist the staff and social workers for intake. Intake is before the guests leave to go on the bus to the church where they will stay for the night, but there was a list of procedures that I had to follow, and there's also a list of what I would usually do also. But after the guests get on the I-Ride bus and head to the church, I would disinfect and clean the entire shelter. But sometimes I would go to the church until 10 p.m. and I listed what I did down below too. Two activities that I did at the shelter was one day I played card games with the children and some of the guests, and also I went to the church with the interns and volunteers on the Saturday after Valentine's Day, and we threw a huge Valentine's Day party.
The fieldwork experience versus class content, I used Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and many of the guests were seeking food, water, shelter, warmth, and sleep. But when these needs are not met, other issues can be affected, like their physical or mental health. But the shelter wants to provide those needs so they can get back on their feet and hopefully find employment and a place to live once they get out of the shelter. The non-structural barriers was many of the guests at the shelter lose their independence or freedom, and because of this, we make sure that they are not drinking alcohol or using drugs when they sign into this place. If they do, they're not allowed to come back. This teaches that if they want the help from our staff or social workers, they must be sober.
One challenge that I faced at the shelter was once I started going 2 to 3 times a week, I got to know the guests and their stories of how they found ICRH, but listening to their stories and how much they lost and been through made me realize I should be grateful for the opportunities and things that I have. And usually when I was done with my shift, I would drive home and just think about their struggles that they face every day. But how I face this challenge is to keep helping and giving back to the guests. One rewarding aspect of volunteering at the shelter was the bonds that I created with the children. They love to play games, they like to paint pictures, and even one child would always offer to help clean dishes with me. And usually when I would go to the church with another volunteer and intern, they would always just want to hang out with us. It felt very rewarding to know that they trusted me and could talk to me about their school life and the things that they love.